Hi, thanks for joining me. So today I'd like to do a vlog and talk about anime. Specifically, I have a question, and I want to pose this question to you guys with a few theories of mine. But really, I don't know the answer to this, so I'd really be curious to know if you guys, what you guys think. So what got me thinking about this is Watamote. I've got my Blu-ray of it here. And I made a little stack of Blu-rays just to kind of illustrate a point. I got sort of curious. I was thinking about Watamote, and I was like, man, that was such a good show, you know. And I have this little stack of Blu-rays that I got that I think just sort of are of a genre that I really enjoy, and I felt like we were really rich in these shows just a handful of years ago. Things like A Channel, Non Non Biori, the first and second seasons, Love Lab. I would put things like Supersonico the animation and Sakura Trick, and even the sort of longer multi-season shows like Kinmoza and Yuri Yuri on here. And I think those are all like slice of life comedy shows that I really enjoyed. Now, just looking back on the past, I'm thinking about the past two seasons, and I think the seasons right now are about a quarter of a year long. So, about the past 6 months or so, they've been a decent couple of seasons. I think I made a video mid-season last season. We're at the end of this season now, talking about some of the shows, and I think I was actually praising it as a pretty good season. But I think that was just in comparison to maybe like the last season or two previous to it. Not necessarily this time period in 2014, 2015, when these shows that I have on Blu-ray here were coming out, because I'm looking at that now and I'm like, wow, that was like some sort of golden era for these shows. And what happened? That's what I really want to know, is what happened. Now, as the simplest theory I would say that I have is that we're just in a slump right now. Sometimes you get a couple really good years, you get a couple really bad years, maybe, not bad, but, there's just not as much quality stuff. Maybe, like, next year or two, there's going to be, super great stuff again, and, that's just how it is, so that's a possibility. So maybe nothing fundamentally has changed. We're just in a little bit of a down period right now. Total, absolute possibility. Next theory is that something fundamentally has changed, and I would say that maybe that really was a golden era of slice of life comedies, and maybe that's over. Maybe 2016 came along and it's pretty much its last gasp. Now, I mean, there are a couple shows here that are kind of like slice of life comedies, so it's not, I don't think it's gone away, but maybe this was just in 2014, 2015 was this really strong period, and maybe now things have shifted. Maybe the new hotness is, My Hero Academia was really popular and we're seeing more like action shonen stuff or something, I don't know. So that's theory number two. There has been some kind of fundamental shift. And theory number three is more to do with the local North American scene for anime publishers, and especially streaming services. So, what I'm thinking is a little more specific to me. I probably started watching Crunchyroll in around 2013, particularly seriously. Maybe it was a little before that, I don't really know, but let's just say it was somewhere around in there. So you get 2014, 2015 are coming along, 2016, and I'm watching Crunchyroll. And, this particular stack of Blu-rays that I have here are all published by Sentai Filmworks. So, during this time period, we're saying Sentai Filmworks is getting a lot of really quality shows in this genre that I like, and those shows are appearing on Crunchyroll. Now, I would say two main things that could have changed about that is Sentai Filmworks is not getting those shows anymore, and maybe that's because another publisher is getting them. Maybe that is because they've had some sort of internal shift in you know, what shows are profitable for them, and maybe they've decided to focus on getting the licenses for some slightly different types of shows. Whatever it is, for some reason those aren't ending up on Crunchyroll, and I'm not seeing them. I think I did mention that it seems like Amazon has started some kind of their own anime streaming service, so maybe some of those shows have been cannibalized by other services or other publishers like Funimation, and, you know, again, they're just not appearing on Crunchyroll, so I'm not seeing them. I think that that is a distinct possibility as well, and I think the best example I can come up with that's evidence for that would be Himoto Umaru-chan. I think I mentioned before. You know, the first season, that was pretty fun, and yeah, maybe not quite as good as these shows, I would say, but it was still cute. I'd consider picking it up on disc. And it's you know, it's only streaming on Amazon's streaming service as far as I know, so I haven't been able to see that. So is it more of a matter of my personal perception, where it's just the streaming service that I tend to use, and, you know, this particular you know, company, this particular anime publisher here in the West is not getting these shows anymore, but they're still being produced? So I'd be curious to know what you guys think about that. Something I wanted to bring up. I think in relation to that, I would like to talk very briefly about, I guess, just kind of this last season's shows, or maybe the past couple seasons. Like I said, I think I made a mid-season video for 2 seasons ago, so I don't want to go on at length about those, but just in general, so the shows that I've been watching that have caught my attention this season, and they're on their last episodes, it seems like, probably this week, is as follows. March Comes In Like a Lion. And that seemed to have a little bit of a break and then start up again, so that's really like a long... They have long format seasons for that right now, it seems like, or at least even if they're not long format, they're animating them back to back. So that feels like it's almost been a continuous thing. That's up to episode 42, and it's really good. I like March Comes In Like a Lion quite a bit. I think I've talked about it before. It's a kid who plays shogi, and he's like become a professional shogi player at like a really young age. He's like 17 or 18 or something. Then you have Slow Start. So this is where I can make the point that, you know, these slice of life sort of things haven't completely disappeared. For example, Slow Start is this exact sort of thing. Is it as good as these, though? I mean, so far I'm going to say no. Like, Slow Start is actually pretty decent, but there was one episode in particular that kind of, I don't know, like caught me off guard. It was pretty interesting in particular, but it's not as good as these. I don't know, it's really not, it's not up to the same sort of quality, as far as I'm concerned. Cardcaptor Sakura, the new season of that is out. Super excited about that. I'm only up to episode 8. I've sort of saved the past few episodes to watch in a chunk. It's slow so far, and that's not necessarily bad, but I'm kind of like, eh. And I'm thinking back to the old series, and I'm like, was the old series this slow? It might have been. It's fine. It's pretty fun. She's collecting cards, and, you know, it's Cardcaptor Sakura, so that's cool. The songs aren't as good, you know. But it's fun. I'm glad it's on. I'm glad they're doing it. So I'm enjoying that. Basilisk. There's a new Basilisk anime. Now, if you guys never saw the original one, you should have. It came out a while ago now. It must have been around 2000, 2001, maybe, something like that. I don't think it was in the 90s, but I think it was right sort of in the early, I don't know, 2002, somewhere around in that range. And it's ninjas. It's like basically like another sort of ninja scrollish sort of story, where you've got like these ninjas with these almost supernatural, superhuman powers. And this was specifically about how they were trying to decide the succession of something, the shogun or whatever. I'm not up on my whole Japanese history stuff, but so they pitted these two ninja clans against each other. Again, these sort of mythical, historical ninja clans, the Koga and the Iga, I think. Yeah, and so to they didn't wipe each other out, but there was like they basically picked their best ninjas each one, and like whichever side won, that's the person who would succeed as the, I don't think it was the emperor, but whatever it was. Yeah, so the new season of that is quite good also, but again, like, in comparison to the old season, like, the old season was animated beautifully. Like, it was wonderful. And, like, this season, you know, this sort of new series of it is, like, I mean, the animation is, like, I would say I want to say 1/5 as good as maybe it's not that bad, but it's at least half as good as the animation in the first one. It's just like, it's a much simpler style. It's not as dynamic. There just isn't. It's just not as good looking, and it's still a decent series, you know. But it's one of those things where you can tell, like, you know, the differences in budget or just in production are it's night and day between those two series. Oh yeah, and I guess so. This isn't that many shows really, but the other one I've been watching consistently, this was my surprise show, is School Babysitters. This almost looked like a shoujo sort of series with ikemen with hot guys, but I don't know. Like, I'm watching it now and I'm kind of like, it's sort of more just like a school romantic comedy with this kid and his little brother. He's just like a toddler who they lose their parents, and so they're adopted by a school headmistress, and they have a daycare there for their teachers, and they need people to help out, and so she basically forces this kid as a condition of them being adopted into her family to help out in the babysitter club. They actually they tried to establish a babysitter club to get some of the students to help out, and they weren't able to except for him. So so it's cute. It's just like a really cute show. So far it's been kind of my surprise show, and I actually really like it. It's just about him and, like, you know, not really harem-ish, but there's like another couple girls that kind of fall in love with him, and you know, just the antics of, like, the parents and their kids in this daycare. It's fun. It's a cute show so far. Just an FYI, I also decided to catch up on Rurouni Kenshin. This is the one from way back in the 90s, and I actually just got nostalgic for it. I actually pulled one of the very few, like, actual sort of Hong Kong bootleg DVDs that I have from way back when we couldn't get any, you know, some of these things officially, and or, you know, I just couldn't afford to because I was poor. And I rewatched the whole first season, and then I was like, well, I'd really like to see the rest of it, and come to find out it's on Crunchyroll. So that was super cool. So I'm actually up to episode 68 of Rurouni Kenshin. And I'd seen some of second season, but I'd never finished it. So I got to finish second season now, which was cool. And now they're on third season, and they're sort of back to their normal antics they were in the first season, which is good. It feels a little weird after second season. Second season changed tone a little bit. Now we're kind of back to what we were before. But yeah, so, you know, this season has been okay. But again, I guess, you know, just by example, I'm sort of like, wow, you know, Basilisk, you know, like, the production values just aren't anything like, you know, it used to be. Cardcaptor Sakura looks nice, but it's like a little slow. Slow Start is like pretty good, but it's not as good as like these. It's just kind of a mixed bag these days. I'm still curious, like, has the industry just shifted over to, like, maybe longer format shows? Are we actually seeing a resurgence of more stuff like, you know, March Comes In Like a Lion? That's more of a continuous series that we've got 42 episodes in here instead of these little short, like, 12-episode series things. Attack on Titan, which is kind of long-running. You know, My Hero Academia, which is long-running. All of these sort of things. Is that where the industry's going? Or am I just missing out on, like, some cool, like, maybe shorter slice of life series and things like that are just being sucked up by, you know, the Amazon streaming or Funimation streaming or something like that, and I can't watch them. I don't know. I'd be curious to know what you guys think about that. And I'll be curious to know what you guys think about the current season. Is there anything that you guys have been watching this season that I haven't been watching that you guys would recommend, definitely let me know. And I hope you'll join me again for more anime and video game related videos.